Yan, mga kameta, kamusta kayo dyan? Na-check nyo ba yung mga interviews natin? Of course, yung latest interview natin with Idol Jano Gibbs. At mukhang medyo on the record. For the first time, kinonperman niya siguro na may plano talaga siya. Now, we don't know if this is Jano Gibbs for president, where he really has a plan to pull off yung ginawa ni Zelensky sa Ukraine. Remember, si Zelensky, meron siyang series about servant of the people na as a comedian, he played the president and then ran successfully for the presidency, and then the rest, of course, is history. We don't know, but please check that interview. Tignan naman natin yung mga sinasabi ng ating mga celebrities, artists, etc. in terms of their views on Philippine politics, democracies, and their own ambitions siguro moving forward. Interesting yan. Ako, whatever happens, gusto ko makikita na yung ating mga artista, ating mga people in the creative industry are active citizens, because really that's the way to make sure na yung ating demokrasya is in the best way in the best place possible, no? Because the more the people are demobilized at hindi involved sa political, the more yung mga trapo at kanilang mga fanatic supporters or mga bloggers, na quote-unquote bloggers, ayan, sila magda-dominate ng ating demokrasya. Now, there are a couple of things to talk about today. Pag-usapan natin shortly yung situation sa Dswd after Secretary Erwin Tulfo, whom, by the way, we also interviewed recently at nag-eavesdrop din kayo dun sa interview ko with Secretary Tulfo. Yung sa announcement na magbibigay ng ayuda at suporta sa ating taong bayan, especially, in light of, the reopening of classes, etc. We'll discuss that shortly. We'll also discuss, guys, yung latest sa mga kaso ni former congressman and veteran professor Walden Bello. Of course, yung kaso niya yung cyber libel na sinampa sa kanya ng former top aide kay Inday Sara. And then also we'll discuss of the case of Lima, Senator Lima, because a US delegation recently ay bumisita after visiting Taiwan, no? So si Nancy Pelosi pumunta sa Taiwan. Instead na mag-back off ang US, may isa pang bagong delegation na pumunta sa Taiwan in support of Taiwan and to defy China and their intimidation tactics dyan sa Taiwan Straits and South China Sea. And then ngayon pumunta dito yung delegasyon ng Amerika sa Pilipinas in hopes of meeting and showing support naman kay De Lima, no? Kay Senator De Lima. So we'll discuss that also today. Of course, tomorrow, guys, it's quite a it's tomorrow is let's say a historic day for many people, at least, because ito po ay, as you can see, on Sunday, so paki-check yung interview ko with Time Magazine, kasi on Sunday po, alam niyo na yung story, di ba? So on Sunday po, Sunday is celebrate the life of Corazon Aquino, no? So eto na, we're getting into this area whereby dapat titignan natin ano magiging reaction ng kasalukuyan na administrasyon. Of course, ang kasalukuyan na administrasyon were the supposed bête noire, no? Ang kalaban ng mga Aquinos. So now that we enter into commemoration of the birthday or the birthday of the Aquinos or the assassination of Nino Aquino, etc. Tingnan natin maging reaction ng gobyerno, because for many this could be an indicator of where the issue of historical wars or historical denialism is heading under the new administration. So tignan natin yan. Of course, nakikita natin ngayon pa lang ang dami mga reactions. So please check yung interview ko with Time Magazine. And dyan rin nakakote si Xiao Chua as an historian also, and his take on this issue. So yan, medyo pag-usapan din natin, especially on Monday, hopefully interview natin si Professor Xiao Chua about yung mga latest na nangyari sa ating bansa. Sige na nga, medyo we'll discuss MIM, but perhaps medyo move on tayo and move forward and we'll look at the bigger picture. Now, as I said again, please paki-check yung interview namin ni Jano Gibbs, because he made some interesting announcement or semi-announcement. May balak siguro siya. Maybe he wants to pull off his own Zelensky in the Philippines. Who knows? Interesting. And of course, it also shows yung ating effort, no, to reach out to people sa iba't ibang larangan, no. At of course, nakikita rin, nag-adjust din ako with people from different backgrounds and also, but we're trying to have a kind of in-depth conversations in ways that we don't normally see in mainstream media or even social media na puro na lang marites, no? So it was marites with the heart and with the brain. Yun po yung ginawa natin with Jano Gibbs, and we hope to reach out also to others, maybe Angel Locsin, maybe Ding Dong Dantes, other socially oriented people who also have love for the Filipino people, no? Pag-usapan din natin 'yan. Now, balikan natin itong mga latest developments sa ating bansa. So we'll go to the Lima situation, to the Walden Bello situation. But before that, let me go to this situation kay DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo. Ito, iba yung Rafi Tulfo, senador yan. Ha? I'm talking about Erwin Tulfo. Alright? Huwag nung guluhin yan. The two are quite different. So guys, paki-check natin yan. Ayan. Ayan na. Sumasali na iba na. Nakaka-notification na yata kayo ngayon. Na. Alright. So, kanina po, DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo personally appealed dun sa crowd to calm down and appeal for their patience and understanding. Kasi nga, biglang nagdagsa ng tao para mag-apply dito sa ayuda na pinoprovide. No? So, ito po yung situation dyan sa DSWD kanina. Because Secretary Erwin Tulfo said na up to 3 students per indigent family. So, mga 3 kabataan, no, sa isang pamilya na mahirap ay pwede or qualified na makakuha ng cash aid, no, worth up to 1,000 pesos pag elementary student, 2,000 po pag high school student, 3,000 po for senior high school at 4,000 po pag tertiary student po. So kung ikaw po ay isang mahirap na pamilya at may 3 anak ka na nag-aaral sa kolehiyo, up to 12,000 po ang pwede mo makuha dito sa DSWD. So medyo, or actually hindi lang kolehiyo, kasama din po dyan yung vocational school, yung mga 2-year, 3-year courses. No? Usually mga 1 to 2 years siguro yung mga ibang vocational courses, technical vocational courses. So up to 12,000 pesos po ang pwede nyo makuha sa DSWD po kung qualified kayo dito base sa mga standards at base dito sa mga yung mga checklist na meron dyan sa DSWD. Kung maalala nyo guys, kinausap po natin si Secretary Erwin Tulfo the other month, naka-eavesdrop po kayo. The full version of that will be released soon, but highlights of that, key points of that have already been released by andyan na online, na-share ko na yan, diba? So going back to this, of course, sabi ni Secretary Erwin Tulfo na talagang gagawin niya yung the best, no? Para makatulong sa taong bayan, including yung kailangan na gawin nila pagdating sa streamlining yung DSWD procedures. Sinong dapat qualified, kung may mga millions may mga millions na potentially hindi na qualified na kumuha ng ayuda kasi nag-move up na po sila sa economic ladder. So ngayon sinasabi nila Tulfo na baka naman yung iba na mas may pangangailangan pwedeng suportahan. So kayo po, kung may pamilya kayo, 3 mga anak nyo nag-aaral ng vocational school or kolehiyo, qualified po kayo, no? Kung pasok kayo dito sa socio-economic class na qualified dito sa ayuda na yan, up to 12,000 pesos. Kaya po, hindi tayo nagtataka na marami sa ating kababayan ay talagang dumagsa dito sa DSWD. So medyo na-overwhelm na po yung DSWD. At ito po, pinapakita ito guys na talagang marami sa ating kababayan guys, kailangan talaga nila ng suporta. At maraming desperado guys for maximum possible assistance they can get anywhere, including sa ating gobyerno guys. Kasi po napakamahal na po ang mga school supplies. Kung nag-aaral ka po sa pribadong eskwela, napakamahal din ng tuition fee. So hirap na po yung ating taong bayan. So potentially hundreds of thousands of families, if not millions of families po, ay desperado for any kind of support. So tayo naman po, kung meron tayong kakayahan at meron tayong mga plataforma or mga channels na pwedeng gamitin para magbigay ng tulong sa ating kababayan, please guys, go ahead. Also later on, of course, dito sa mga metas natin, dito sa page natin, we'll try to also raise fund, crowdfunding tayo para makasuporta naman, makapagsuporta naman tayo dun sa mga ating mga kabayan na kailangan ng suporta, no? Kaya kasi nga mahal po ang eskwela. Ako po ay isang guro, nagtuturo ako, especially of course sa college, graduate school ako nagtuturo. Pero alam natin talaga mahirap ang sitwasyon ngayon para sa mga estudyante at kanilang pamilya dahil sa economic crisis na meron tayo, napakamahal ang gasolina, mga presyo ng mga bilihin, mahal din po ngayon ang sugar. Baka bawasan niyo ng sugar. Ito ng chance na guys para mag-diet. Alright? Para may reason kayo mag-diet. So kanina, ito po yung situation sa Dswd, kasi nga up to 12,000 potential yung pwede makuha ng ibang pamilya dito sa ayuda. Now, of course, may mga concerns or criticisms dito na siguro miscommunications po ang nangyari dito kaya large crowd swarmed the department after yung announcement ng 500 million pesos worth of financial assistance will be given to indigent students, no, or students coming from underprivileged communities, no. So ito po yun. So may mga nagsabi na this is Secretary Tulfo himself saying that there was a miscommunication, kaya ito po yung dahilan na nangyari dyan. Saturday morning po, after announce niya yung 500 million pesos, no, ang sabi ni Secretary Tulfo, ang nangyari po ay nagkaroon ng miscommunication. It was a miscommunication down the line, all right? Ibig sabihin yung mga rank and file siguro sa DSWD, when I was informed na okay tayo, Secretary, may walk-in tayo, okay naman din yun, sir, kasi ngayon, recalibrate namin every minute. So, medyo, ad hoc na yung nagiging process dito kasi overwhelmed siguro, no? So, ito yung sinabi niya sa media kanina when people had to suddenly register with the QR code when they thought walk-in was allowed. So, yung pala, kailangan ng registration process na proper yan. Hindi yung pwede daksaan na basta-basta lang, no? So yun yung sinabi na. So yung mga hindi nakakaintindi ng English, ng Tagalog, ayan. What happened was a miscommunication. It was a miscommunication down the line, all right. When I was informed, we are okay, Secretary, we can have walk-ins. That was all right. Right now, we're recalibrating every minute. So, kumbaga, playing it by the ear and trying to fix the situation on an ad hoc basis. Na-highlight po ni Tulfo, Secretary Tulfo, na this has been an ongoing Dswd program even before he announced it. So, hindi ito populist stunt or sariling sariling sikap lang. Ayon sa kanya, ito yung problema namin sa DSWD, itong educational assistant every year. Kaso hindi ko malaman kung secret ba, hindi na ina-announce. Matagal na po ito, pagpasukan, may educational assistance. No? So, in English, this is our problem in the DSWD. There's educational assistance every year naman. But I cannot figure out why this was, if this were a secret, or if it just was not announced. Education assistance happens every opening of classes. So, yung mga kaibigan natin dyan sa media, if this were, not was, dapat yun ang correct na translation. Okay. So, sabi ni Tulfo, may gusto sa DSWD naman daw para walang pinipili, hindi inuuna. So, yun nga eh. So, of course, you have to do it in a systematic way para hindi magulo, para smooth yung process at hindi magkakaroon ng dayaan. Kasi syempre this has to go to the families who needed the most. Syempre ang daming taong may pangangailangan, hindi naman pwede na unahan lang. Dapat talaga dumaan ka sa proseso, mark QR code, registration, etc. So all I can say for now is best wishes to Secretary Tulfo in making sure po na mas streamline itong mga proseso dito sa DSWD para matulungan natin taong bayan in the best way and most efficient way possible. Kasi yung iba naman, baka magkaroon ng false expectation, baka magkaroon ng gulo dun sa mga linya, among others. So kung sana guys, if there is a streamlined bureaucratic approach, we can avoid anomalies, problems, and also guys, disappointment naman dun sa mga iba na umasa tapos pumunta, nakapila na matagal, pero walang dumating sa kanila, di ba? So may proseso po 'yan. So kaya nga po napakamahalaga sa polisiya at sa gobyerno, efficient po yung public relations at saka yung communication process, no? Para hindi mahirapan yung ating mga kababayan, especially ngayon na kaya nga sabi ko daming may pangangailangan dito. Now, let's transition a bit guys. Punta naman tayo dun sa mga latest nangyari with some of the opposition leaders in this country. So dito, may news na po tayo kanina na dito sa kaso ni former Congressman Walden Bello, former vice presidential candidate Walden Bello, and of course erstwhile academic, no? So ito po, nag-file na po sila via lawyer Luke Espirito, who's the lead counsel for former Congressman Walden Bello, ng counter affidavit against dun sa cyber libel case at the Hall of Justice in Davao City. So ito yung picture nung this is the picture nung April pa. But ngayon may request sila with respect to the case. So ang nangyari po dito is the court in Davao City handling yung libel cases. Ito ay base sa Minda News. Minda News. I think this is based in Davao, right? Paki-correct, no? Handling the libel cases against Walden Bello on Thursday pala, granted his motion na suspendin yung proceedings pending his petition for a review of his indictment before the Department of Justice. So mukhang ginawa nila dito is tinake yung case sa Department of Justice, potentially questioning whether the case should be handled by a court based in Davao. Perhaps they'll push for changing the venue for the case to be probably handled outside Davao or somewhere else that they feel will more fairly handle this issue. Again, we're not saying anything. We're just saying this is what the calculation and strategy of the team of former Congressman Bello is. No? So the regional trial court dun sa Davao granted Bello's motion to suspend proceedings and reset the arraignment and pre-trial. So ito yung whether you plead guilty or innocent from September 8. So dapat ano na yan, just 2 weeks from now, more or less, to October 27. So that gives them more than a month, no? So almost 60 days, no? 60 days para to have more time to discuss with the Department of Justice yung petition nila for suspending the proceedings for probably changing even the venue, no? So yun ang medyo intindi natin. So kung yung mga hindi updated, of course, Congressman Bello was arrested in Quezon City last August 8. Pumunta naman tayo sa presinto noon, nakausap natin sila. Andun rin si Calyodi, andun rin si Luke Espirito, kanyang lead counsel. Ito ay base sa warrant of arrest issued by Judge Retrina Espe of Regional Trial Court Branch 10, no? Sa Davao City to. But the following day, na-release na po si Congressman Bello, former Congressman Bello, after posting a bail of 48,000 pesos for each count. I think there were 2 different counts ng cyber libel and libel laban sa kanya. So let's watch out for this case because ang argument ng kampo nila Walden Bello is that this is, quote, a form of political persecution, no? At they're hoping to take the case all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary para i-dismiss itong case on the grounds nga of so-called political persecution, no? So ito yung jurisprudence base sa jurisprudence na sinaside ni Espirito, dapat yung court has previously held that, quote, any attempt to persecution using prosecution should be subject of a permanent injunction. So, yun po. So, ayon kay Espirito, the general rule is an injunction cannot be issued to stop prosecuting certain alleged offenders, but as an exception to the rule, if the Supreme Court finds that the prosecution is a form of persecution to silence political opponents, then the judiciary can step in order to issue a permanent injunction to stop the prosecution. So yun ang strategy nila Walden Bello, is to portray the cyber libel as a form of political persecution and harassment and therefore have it essentially dismissed by the Supreme Court. Let's see how this goes. So first of all, tignan natin ano yung maging decision ng Department of Justice or whether the Department of Justice in the next weeks or so will come up with a definitive decision on how this moves forward. And then after that, let's see where the court proceedings will continue, will proceed. I mean, where the court proceedings will be if ever hindi na ito na-dismiss kaagad. And then whether ito ay mapunta all the way to the Supreme Court. If I'm not mistaken, also dun sa case ng Rappler nila Maria Ressa, this has also gone to the Supreme Court. So we'll watch out for that. Now, yung last item natin for today, guys, discuss naman natin dito sa, ang dami natin kailangan i-follow up At saka, syempre, thank God, medyo naka-recover tayo. Konting phlegmatic lang tayo over the past few days dahil sa pagod and all. Pero hopefully nakabawi tayo ngayon. Now, also, the other day po, may mga major developments dito because a number of US lawmakers, mga senador to, no? So this is a bipartisan, if I'm not mistaken, a bipartisan delegation. I think yung buong delegation na pumunta sa Taiwan ay pumunta rin sa Pilipinas. This is a delegation led by Senator Edward Markey from Massachusetts po ito na Democrat. Uh, uh, Yeah, this is correct. No. So ayon dito sa report na yan, actually nagkaroon ng meeting, no? Between Senator Edward Markey at saka former Senator De Lima in her high security detention cell dito sa Maynila. Of course, alam niyo, Senator De Lima was held in detention based on alleged drug-related charges, but a lot of the people have made accusation against her are withdrawing the cases. So let's see how will the Department of Justice deal with this issue under Justice Secretary Remulla, no? Uh, Kasi yung isang report na nakita ko, parang, wait lang, double check natin. Kasi yung isang report na nakita natin, sinabi na hindi actually na-allow na ma-meet, no? But this report by South China Morning Post, yeah, this is August 1922, it shows that actually the meeting happened, no? So, ito po, yung report by South China Morning Post. I'll post it down later on. Kasi kanina ang sinabi lang, nag-meet sila with President Marcos. Siguro they're trying to explore what's the situation under Marcos dahil iba ng presidente, hindi na si Tatay Digong, di ba? Anyway, I'm just checking the reports based on the reports we have here. So mukhang United States Senator Edward Markey, on Friday met a long-time detained Filipino opposition. Ito yung si Senator De Lima. Kasama rin dyan dun sa delegation mga ibang mga legislators from the US. Of course, ang konteksto ito ay yung contention ng mga Amerikano na yung nangyari kay De Lima was also a form of political persecution and trumped-up charges. After all, ang tagal niya na nandun, wala pa rin real evidence to show that she's really guilty and not. So, of course, nagkaroon ng meeting between Senator Markey of the U.S. and President Marcos. It looked like a very cordial meeting. But of course, the Americans are pushing for swift action on this, and perhaps their position is this has to be dismissed right away because this is a politically, these are Trump-up charges and politically motivated charges. No, let's see how the Marcos administration will approach this. But since mukhang si Marcos Jr. ay may plano makipag-meeting with President Joseph Biden on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly later this year, and most likely visit the White House early or middle of next year, then siguro smoothing things out with the US Congress, with the US administration, and projecting a better image to the US media and civil society. I think that would be very helpful and important. So tignan natin, guys, kung anong magiging situation dito, no? What's interesting here is that it looks like some senators and legislators in America are more interested in supporting and standing by Senator De Lima rather than some of the legislators here in our own country. So, I mean, that just tells you the state of our democracy, no? Now, hindi claro though whether Markey categorically called for De Lima to be released, but I won't be surprised. That was essentially said that by saying if this is really Trump-up charges, etc., then there's no point in holding her there, no? So Markey actually is the chairman of U.S. Senate Foreign Relations East Asia and Pacific Subcommittee. So dun sa Senado de America, yung committee na focus sa American policy on East Asia, yung region natin, siya po yung head nun. Kaya mahalaga yung sinasabi nila, no? Yung mga senators at saka Senator Markey na pumunta dito, ayon sa kanila, yung meeting nila, ayon sa kanila, and having a new president provides a, quote, opportunity to reject the repression of the past, release Senator De Lima, and embrace policies that support the rule of law and a vibrant free press in the Philippines. No? So yun naging contention ng mga ibang U.S. senators who believe that what we have really here is political persecution rather than a legit legal case against a former senator who happened to be a chief critic of the former president. All right? So let's look at this situation, how it also develops. No? I think the De Lima case will tell us a lot about how the Marcos administration wants to approach the issue of human rights and democracy. It tells a lot about how far the Marcos administration wants to continue yung mga key policies ng previous administration. It also says a lot about where Marcos wants to go in terms of his relationship with America, with American Congress, with American people, with international Western media, all of those things. So for me, this is a test case. This is a test case, and what Marcos will do on the De Lima issue could potentially be a landmark policy with massive implications domestically but also internationally. Especially if si Marcos ay may plano na bumisita sa Amerika later this year. Bumisita sa Amerika later this year on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Potentially pwede na ma-meet si President Biden there. And then next year, he will likely become the first Philippine president in almost a decade to also have an official visit to the White House. So dami po nangyari dito. Kaya we have to watch these cases closely. Lahat po yan related. So when you do political analysis, you don't look at an issue in isolation. You look at paano related itong issue na to within a broader constellation of policy dilemmas and tough political decisions to be made. I'm sure a part of, the Marcos campaign wants to show that, they're with the previous administration, they have this similar mindset. But I'm sure there's also the part of the Marcos administration which is saying, well, there are cases whereby we have to make it clear. We are not going to just continue whatever we inherited from Duterte because we feel some of these things are not really reflecting the interests of the nation or not going to reflect properly on the image we want to project internationally. Kaya tignan natin ang mabuting to. So far, in the first month or two of President Marcos, it's very clear. Ang focus talaga dito, guys, is economic development, curbing the inflation issues. And it looks like as far as issues like the war on drugs is concerned, the red tagging issues is concerned, human rights, etc. is concerned, it looks like Marcos Jr. is not necessarily 100% into continuing what he inherited under Duterte. If anything, nakikita natin may mga ibang hardcore supporters ng dating Pangulo ay hindi masyadong natutuwa dito sa some of the opening statements, some of the big pronouncements, and some of the policy tweaking and recalibration that we're seeing under new President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Pagdating naman sa mga Amerikano, of course, there's a certain reputation that the Marcoses have, not necessarily the most positive, but very interestingly, guys, it looks like even the Democrats in the U.S. want to turn a page, turn a new leaf in bilateral relations. And even though Marcos yan, perhaps they feel with the Marcos they can have a better relationship, even some good governance reforms in ways that they could not get under Duterte, who was quite hostile to the West, found hostility a lot in the West, and wanted to be closer to Russia and China and those kinds of powers and countries. No, so this is very interesting. So there's a lot of feeling the river, crossing the river, feeling the stones, the rocks, to use the Deng Xiaoping kind of expression or proverb. So yun, guys. So I'm just saying, eto na, naka-recover tayo ng konti, thank God. So that's why I try to cover a lot of grounds sabay-sabay. But please, guys, watch and support yung mga interviews na ginawa natin. Kahit may sakit tayo, kahit mahina na ako, kahit nagka-cough na ako kahapon, I tried not tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung mga interviews and mga trabaho natin in addition to other works I had to do. So please also check yung interview namin with Jano Gibbs. His potential plan to try to pull off Zelensky in the Philippines. No, remember Zelensky was a comedian. Then the next thing you know, he turned his show on becoming president into actual, presidential campaign. So let's see if that's what Jano Gibbs wants to do. Later on, by the way, guys, mga 7-8 p.m. ko, andyan pa kayo. Hopefully, tuloy din namin yung discussion namin with Mark Gamboa for our latest Project Pilipinas. So daldal na naman later on. God willing, pag-usapan naman natin itong latest kila Tulfo, Robin Hood, yung mga nangyari sa Senado, among others. No? So there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to discuss later on. So please also tune in for us. Medyo bumabawi tayo dun sa mga slow news or not so super active meta schedule natin over the past week. Of course, galing din tayo sa Baguio. Ang dami natin mga family duties and also pasensya na lang if I've not been as active as wanted to be. And yun nga, medyo nagkalagnat din tayo the past few days. Thank God, we're feeling better. And yun nga, so it just means na I have to take care of myself. Kaya ngayon, I'm checking all my statistics, rest time, etc. So I'm very much more conscious na ako dyan. So salamat naman sa Diyos. He gave me a chance to have a proper reflection on how we want to live our life in the best way possible. Yun lang, medyo workaholic lang tayo. It's like if I don't do a meta day, if I don't do an article, if I don't do my duties, parang feeling ko, nagkakulang ako or I'm not fulfilling my obligation. Ayun na, medyo nagka-cough na ako. That means I have to slow down na. Medyo na-overwhelm na naman yung system natin. alam mo sa inyo, hindi nyo na feel yan. Pero ako, like, I'm rushing all this energy. Nag-drain talaga ako. There are times na after yung mga meta natin, dagang ganyan na ako, di ba? Yung energy pala is very energy consuming on my part. Kasi alam niyo naman, guys, ayoko naman yung simple lang na, chismisan. Talaga, when I go and I discuss something very contentious, especially, I'm all in, 100%. My mind, my soul, my, my body is 100% into it. Kaya, ayan, nagka-cough na ako. So that means, sumobra na yung daldal natin. Okay, let me thank everyone also, guys, for joining us. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for supporting us through and through and being there for us. Salamat kay Gilson Frias, watching from Antique, Lawaan. Is Lawaan? Okay, Lawaan, sorry. Is it medyo parang Arabic na yung pronounce ko? Lawaan. I hope I got that correct. From Antique. Salamat kay Amy Mapua, joining us. Also, blessed weekend, Prof. Blessed weekend din po sa inyo. Salamat kay Jella Ramos. Ayan, kay Naomi Tablate. Gandang hapon po din sa inyo. Kay Jessie Monahan. Kay Cecilia Aguilar. Kay Rosario Borrer. Thank you very much. Kay Lila Ochoda. Kay Rose Uy. Good afternoon din sa inyo. Kay Marian Gandeza. Joining us from Russia. Kumrad. Very nice for joining us. Thank you. Kay Mario Maranan. Thank you very much. Magandang hapon din sa inyo. Kay Yoj Mafa. Kay Elinor Bangayan. Kay... Yan, si Mira nagtanong. Yeah, I'm talking about Erwin, not Rafi, okay? Yung secretary, hindi yung senador. Yeah. Yan, yung iba daw, walang notification. Hopefully, yung in the future, mas na-notify kayo. Again, please guys, check naman. I don't know what's happening with Facebook. Minsan, mahina talaga yung notification system nila. Baka may mga reconfiguration sila. Every week, I'm looking at, umiiba yung configuration. So maybe you can subscribe or you can put favorite yung page natin para sigurado na pag nag-live tayo or we're posting anything, automatically you guys are updated. Salamat din kay Mitch Tengcho. As always, magandang maulang hapon. Oo nga, medyo maulang. Pasensya na dun sa mga nagda-drive din. Have a good day din sa inyo. Kay Annabelle Feist, joining us from, I suppose, some Germanic place in Europe. Guten Morgen. Thank you kay Manolito Mata. Thank you for joining us. Kay Mike Rojas, na ang daming sinasabi. Maraming kuda yan. Kay Chante Matias, thank you very much joining us from Antipolo City. Sabi ni Grace Kitayama, late notification. At least please, thank you for joining us. Kay, as always, thank you kay Ma'am Jocelyn. Very supportive through and through. Thank you talaga very much, guys. Thank you kay Teresita Sampaga also for joining us. Thank you kay Maria, kay Mary Versosa Ilaw, kay Vida Velasco, maayong hapon po. Yan, mga kasama po natin from the Visayas region. Sana naman yung mga kapwa natin Ilocano. Yan, kapsat. Anyangay. Yan, happy to see you again. Sabi ni Arnold Evangelista, God Almighty, Lord Jesus Christ, keep you safe and healthy always. Amen and amen. Thank you rin po. God bless you din po. Thank you so much for your prayers and good wishes. Ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Jocelyn, looking better now. Thank God. Maraming salamat sa Diyos. We try to get pahinga. Although kagabi, medyo nag-push up din ako na exercise. I couldn't stop. Mahirap na kasi, syempre, Dswd na tayo. Kailangan mag-maintain, diba? Mahirap na. Thank you rin kay Skyler kay joining us from Misamis Oriental. Kay Zenny Ali, thank you very much for joining us from, I suppose this is New York, NY. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. Kay Abel Nebrida, kay Jovi, kay Denise Aquino, thank you so much. Ayan, talagang kay Ma'am Eunice Babalcon, as always, very generous and kind. Kay Nympha Freeless, thank you so much for your support. Kay Mites from Australia, Senan Makalalat, drink more fluid daw, kaya nga sa sobrang daldal, naubos yung yung water natin. Rizal Reyes. Yan. Thank you so much as always to Eden Olonan. Happy weekend daw. And to everyone also, happy weekend to you, Eden. Thank you so much kay Ma'am Fanny San Miguel. You have been so kind for your support. Same din kay Braf Pete. Yun, no? Kay Tina Alcantara, kay Mary Grace. Yan. Sinabi kanina. Dagupan, Pangasinan situation. Traffic dahil sa cash assistance ng Dswd. Patience is the key, sabi ni Mary Grace Versosa. Thank you for that update. Si Maria Esmeralda naman, good evening daw. Ayan, medyo medyo nakapag-hinayan daw yung mga yung mga situation dance. So hopefully things will improve. Tara Sawai, thank you for joining us and your support. Katrina Frias, kay Ina Austria, kay Naomi Tablata, yung mga ka-QC natin, Melanie De Guzman. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, for supporting us, for your stars, for your great comments, for your prayers and goodwill. We really appreciate that. Buenos dias to Liz Riosa joining us from Madrid. Madrid. Yan. Pag Madrid kasi, dapat nag-lift ka. Diba? Iba yung Catalan. Espanyol. Iba yung Madrid. Yan. So, okay. Alam niyo naman, medyo fan tayo talaga Real Madrid, no? So, but Barcelona, of course, we all do like Barcelona. We'll discuss that more. So, next time, magsuot na naman tayo ng mga shirt natin. Oh, yung mga iba na, yung catch yun, di ba yung nakasuot ako ng Real Madrid? Ayan. Pero nakapa-cool effect ako ng earbuds. Tuloy, hindi niyo ako narinig. So, yan. Balik tayo sa classic. Tingnan ko, may budget tayo. Bili din tayo ng lapel. Naiwan ko yung lapel ko sa Europe. Naalala mo, naglalapel ako dati nung nasa Europe tayo. Biglang naiwan ko. I don't know. I left it in Germany. I had it in Germany. I don't know if I left it in Paris or I left it in Barcelona. I don't know. I have to check that. Alright? But, pag may budget tayo, bibili tayo ng lapel. And, thanks sa support nyo. We'll try to ipon to buy siguro a new laptop para malagay ko talaga. Kasi natakot ako mag-download ng mga software and apps dun sa laptop ko. Alam na, di ba? We have to be careful. So maybe I have to buy a new laptop na medyo affordable at maganda na magamit natin para yung mga meta natin, pwede ako mag-project ng mga PowerPoints, discussion, etc. Para even more in-depth yung discussion natin. So far, pasensya na, ganun lang yung mga style natin, cellphone lang, low budget lang. So thank you also kay Marife Guerrero for joining us, kay Amiles Tupino, thank you very much for your support, kay Animo VJS also, kay Jisoo. Anong pinagtatawanan niyo dyan? Madrid? ang chismis dyan, hindi ganun yung mga taga Madrid. Meron silang king daw na naglilith. So parang hindi sila mamatay, ginaya daw nila yung king nila doon sa I don't know, sa Espanya, mga urban legend. Hindi, joke lang yata yun Ma Victoria Baldazar, also, gracias for joining us. Alright, ayan na. Naimbag Malemo, ayan, sabi ni Corazon Catabas, salamat Kapsat for joining us. Yan, anong tawag dyan? Ano sabi ni Mike Rojas? Naghanap ba yung alternative vloggers? Marami dyan. Si Christian Esquera, di ba? I mean, he's kind of vlogger too, not only journalist. So, yeah, meron naman kayo options dyan, di ba? Sino ba yung Kristan ba yun? Di ba? Yun din, chine-check ng iba. So, pwede nyo i-check yung mga yan. Ayan. Tapos guys, update tayo sa Monday dito sa situation sa DepEd, God willing, at saka situation sa Dswd, and not to mention, of course, updating tayo dyan dun sa commemoration of the life of former Democratic icon Corazon Aquino. Let's talk about those things. Hopefully, makuha rin natin si Xiao Chua finally, again, back here para pag-usapan din natin ng kasaysayan, chismisan, katotohanan, yan. Marami tayong pag-usapan. So, looking forward to that discussion, God willing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. And by the way, later on, mga 8 to 9 p.m., please, if andyan pa kayo, at hindi kayo nagpa-party, please feel free to join me and Mark Gamboa to discuss also the latest marites in Republic of the Philippines. All right? God bless. Thank you very much. I hope you navigate through the traffic well and looking forward to joining you again pretty soon, God willing. And then, of course, Sabbath day on Sunday para makapagpahinga naman tayo. God bless. Hasta pronto.